just had a question about the analytics metrics. They seem quite flat over the last year. Is this bear market stuff? Is this the slow transition from Web 2 to Web 3, which will obviously take many years? Or are you concerned by this sort of lack of adoption? Or I just wanted to hear your thoughts on the metrics for the past year.
We'll give Greg a chance there to unmute.
I'm sorry. Hey, good question, Happy Investor. The question to summarize is Akash active applications has been essentially trending sideways, right? That means there are no net new applications are essentially zero, right? That means so there are like applications that are, leaving Akash, and the applications that are coming Akash are basically the same. And the reason for that is, we have several reasons, right? And before we get into reasons, am I concerned? Not really, because these metrics are so early that quantitativeness doesn't really tell us the full story. And active applications are not the most accurate way of measuring the adoption, right? So that comes to like, okay, so why are people churning? Is, like I said, there is a general lack of engagement infrastructure. The biggest reason why people leave Akash is they run out of money. Like, it's really that dumb. They run out of money in their that they're supposed to deposit. For those of you that don't know how Akash works, is it's a prepaid system, right? So you essentially fund a deployment by transferring AKT from your wallet to the Akash deployment wallet, and you get X amount of days. Usually, I think, like, if you do 5 AKT for my blog, I remember you get about 15 to 20 days before you should re-up. And people forget to re-up, and the deployment goes out of basically, it becomes inactive, and then that causes a whole lot of like frustration. People think Akash is not working, and then they leave. So that's been our biggest like challenge to solve. The way to solve is like, hey, in an ideal world, you'd be like, I don't care about like re-upping, just take my credit card and do it, right? That's how you're used to in the real world, real in the sense the Web 2 world. We don't have credit cards in Web 3. We don't have emails in Web 3. So how are we solving it? Through several mechanisms, right? So one is, obviously, there's a community-led effort. CloudMoss is being one of the key contributors and key innovators in this area. They've recently launched alerts. Alerts hopefully will let let us churn a lot less, right? So so hopefully we'll see a lot of improvement there. And second big reason for adoption is, and this is more of an inhibitor, is lack of stable payments, right? The lack of certainty, right? So what that means is, if AKT on both on provider side and payer side, on the tenant side, so there is no sustainable way to either pay for stuff or earn stuff on provider side. So that creates a lot of friction when it comes to like renewing Akash and whatnot. So we're solving that by introducing stable payments, and that's potentially coming up in the next minute, right? And third is just a lack of automation, or lack of knowing how to automate for fault tolerance, right? So a lot of times when people deploy an Akash application, they optimize for a single instance instead of having a threshold that's ideal for fault tolerant events. Like, ideally, my blog, for example, it's been running on Akash forever, but it runs on 3 different regions. So one of the provider goes down, there are 2 other regions that can pick it up from. But most people are not aware on how to do this multi-regional deployment. And for that, it's a lot of the user interface, right? So yes, Akash has been, while we've been getting new applications, we've also been losing applications. So that's why the numbers are flat. It's not because we're not getting adoption, it's just the loss and the churn is fairly high. And it's one of those things people don't talk about in churn. In this, not only a cash problem, it's across the board. Of course, naturally, when the adoption has obviously like been slower in a bear market because less people are aware of Akash, less people want to hold Akash tokens in a bear market, and there's that contributing factor as well. But I think churn has been a larger contributing factor for a flat adoption curve. Does that answer your question?
That's pretty good. Thanks, Greg.
And there's a lot of efforts, right? So to increase adoption, yeah, first there are two ways we can primarily at a high level we can categorize the efforts we do. One category is Akash Overclock Labs, the company pushing forward, right? What are we going to do? Well, we identify key areas like churn, notifications, and whatnot. For credit cards, we're actually um, if you remember the last mainnet, we introduced the idea of authorized spend. So the idea of authorized spend is to allow decoupled payments from operational accounts. So with that, you know, um, we'll be able to actually have credit cards and custodial service that lets you pay cash deployments using credit card, right? Now we'll have USDC enabled very, very soon. So you'll have a lot more sustainable, consistent payment mechanism, Prakash, that is very similar to how you would use a Web3 cloud. Again, having credit cards means it's not fully Web3, so it is a custodial solution, but it solves the problem. So we're building that. The first version of this system that we think about credit cards is going to be out in another 3 to 4 weeks. It's called Overclock Console. It's a product built by Overclock Labs. So that gives you an idea as to how you can, you know, simply deploy using Akash. It's a opinionated deployment mechanism. So you should see a lot of improvements. And that also solves for user interfaces, right? So your Overclock Labs is building a user interface that'll essentially it's great for like launching like blockchain nodes, but also like gives you a better ability to have multiple regions and whatnot. So you're going to be able to solve like this like fault tolerant scenarios really about with Overclock console. So there's a lot of effort happening from the core team, but more effort is happening from our ecosystem, right? So we're seeing CloudMoss obviously doing incredible updates. We're seeing Speron, we're seeing Wixillo, and soon we'll see Third Web and the others integrating really deeply from a demand side, right? Uh, so this is so I think like that is going to start. So as these integrations are we'll get into productions, we're going to start seeing quite a lot of adoption come from these ecosystem players as well. And from the demand side, there's a lot more happening, right? So and we're super excited from a GPU standpoint, right? So why? Because like so far, Akash is just really trying to play the parity game, right? The parity game in the sense like, can we give capabilities that the current cloud provides? So every other feature we launch, we're trying to get capabilities or parity, right? With GPUs, we'll start seeing superiority, right? That means for the first time, you'll see Akash deliver something the current cloud does not have, which is an open market for GPUs, right? So there we'll start seeing a little drift off from like parity game to like superiority game where, hey, we're offering GPUs for 20% cheaper, and there's ubiquitous amount of GPUs all the way from miners, proof of stake miners, moving to like proof of work miners, after the post merge, moving to proof of stake, to Max having very powerful GPUs. And so we're sort of like getting into like this incredible new area of um, superiority from the cloud. So that will contribute heavily for adoption. So yes, the numbers right now are very early stage. It should not be a thing that should be a point of focus, but rather look at who is using and how they're using and how one of these players are going to take Akash to exponential. If you think about it, if you had to like drop parallels to uh, the traditional cloud, Amazon, if you look at their growth trajectory, it hasn't been, a linear one. It's always non-linear, right? So you'll have like slow like growth for a long time, and then you'll have some critical event that takes you to the next level. a critical event that took Amazon to the next level is Netflix. You remember Netflix was the first company. Basically, Netflix was a small company back then. I mean, that's was a startup. Essentially, they said, "Hey, look, we're going to use um, Amazon to get a competitive advantage when it comes to streaming, scaling streaming, right?" And they did a good job. So that one story put Amazon on a different planet, right? So similarly, Akash, the story is going to be one of the users on Akash, one of the companies that are built on Akash, doing incredible things to get a competitive advantage over their competitors that are using the traditional cloud. And those stories are going to get Akash, and then you'll see exponential. So I think we're gonna see GPUs. I think really deliver that Netflix for Akash. So yes, a lot of the metrics right now don't really matter because they're tiny, they're small. Any marginal change is going to be like, you know, if- it's great we can celebrate all the marginal changes, but hey, if tomorrow like a I don't know, Chia miners decided to like run on Akash, suddenly the active workloads go like double and your AKT spend doubles up. Those really doesn't matter because they're very, very tiny, when it compared to what the potential is. And it's super important for us to stay focused on these critical use cases, the Netflix of the Web3, I'm not saying music streaming, but I'm trying to say like the Netflix moment we had to optimize for. Hopefully
Great.
that answers your question.
Thank you. And all those initiatives, the stablecoin payments, the improved automation, the improved user interface, and this is all coming over the next few months, I guess.
Oh, well, not a few months. I mean, sure, if you have magic. Well, so the next few months will be a little bit optimistic.
Okay.
Next few quarters, right? So we need there's a lot of things in order to get to parity and superiority. So you need stable payments, you need GPUs, you need observability, you need automation, you need identity management, you need access control. So with these set of features, we'll have parity with the cloud, right? So that is, on the roadmap. Essentially, we'll be delivering, but we're not like we're not saying that you need all these for like getting like functionality, but I think GPUs, which is next, right? Next on the roadmap after mainnet 4, GPUs are the foundation for I think the key adoption, right? So we can have GPUs without having access control, for example. You know what I mean? Like so, like these are, even though it'll be nice to have access control for the other workloads, observability for other workloads, but GPUs alone will deliver quite a lot of functionality and quite a lot of adoption for Akash, right? So yes, all these features are required for us to get parity with the cloud and then comfortably go to a big major, Fortune 10 company or Fortune 50 company and be like, hey, move all your workloads to Akash, because now you have all the capabilities that Akash need. I mean, that you need to run, right? So, yeah, and that's not the next few months. I mean, it's going to be next few years, right? So, but next few quarters would be a better one. Yeah, it's on the roadmap though.
Awesome. A lot of interesting stuff on the roadmap for sure. Thanks for the answer.